Welcome to the breakdown. Today we're going to be taking a look at one of the main causes of divorce in the United States and honestly around the world. Money. Yes, money is the root of all evil, as they say, and it's the root of many divorces actually. People not being honest with money, not taking care of their money or not communicating about their money are some of the main causes of divorce in the United States. We're going to give you some tips. I am no relation expert. I'm no money expert. Have been married to my wife for over 10 years now. We're now in our 12th year, which is kind of a weird feeling. And many of these, my wife and I did very early, and I think really helped our marriage, especially in the early tough years. Hey, if you're getting married, let me be honest with you. Those first few years are the hardest. They say around 7 it gets hard again. But we're going to break down what you need to know to maybe help you make your marriage more successful. First, if you're new here, do me a big favor. Hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up. It really does help us because it lets YouTube know you enjoy what we do here. And hopefully we can help you learn something new. All right, the 3 main causes of divorce when it relates to money comes down to these. Number 1, not having a budget. Basically, one person spending money where they think they need it to go, the other person spending it another way where they think it needs to go. Neither one of you are communicating, and suddenly you realize money you were counting on, the other person has spent on other items. This is a really big thing with divorce, not really tracking where your money is going. And in general, it's a big thing that destroys a lot of people's lives because they suddenly find themselves, hey, I thought I had this much money, but you spent it, and I spent money you thought I wasn't going to spend. And that causes a lot of problems. Now, you use whatever budget system you want. I'm a big fan of the Dave Ramsey system. If you're really struggling with money, the cash system, the envelope system is a very basic, easy way to get started. And I think it really works well because it forces you to physically see the money going out, right? You take your money that you need for the month, you put it in envelopes. Okay, here's for car insurance, here's one for rent or whatever. And then you have to actually go in it and take out money. Now, there's a lot of blended systems. Sometimes people just do this for things like grocery money, fund money, and that kind of money, where like utilities and stuff, they just do through a card regularly. I've heard a lot of people do that too. Because it's the fund money, it's the groceries, it's that kind of stuff that gets you in trouble. The having to go and pull out that 20 to go to McDonald's or something, it's a lot different than swiping that debit card or tapping your phone nowadays. It actually is a physical action, and you look, hey, I had $100, now I have $80 for the month of McDonald's money or whatever system you're doing. Now, you do whatever budget system you want, but the important part here is you two sit down, you make a budget, you say, hey, we're going to spend this much on food, we're going to spend this much on gas, we're going to spend this much on entertainment, and then go from there. Really recommend you strongly consider that because now you both have fixed expectations, right? The money's tracked. And if you run into a problem, you can go back and say, hey, where did we leave our budget? Was it you? Was it me? That kind of stuff. Did I spend too much in an area? So keep that in mind. And often budgets need to be adjusted. They're not rock solid contracts, right? If you estimate you're going to need this much for gas and electric in the winter, and you suddenly find out, hey, this new apartment, this new home needs a little bit more or a little bit less, feel free to adjust it from time to time. But adjust it as a team. Talk to each other about what you're doing. Keep that in mind. All right, number 2, not agreeing on major purchases. This is a big one, folks, especially if you get home and it ends up being a lemon and you didn't ask permission of your other spouse, they weren't on board of it. You didn't talk about it, work it out together. Guess what, guys? You're going to be in trouble if you buy that car and it wasn't approved and it ends up being a lemon. Just not that ever happened to me, I'm just saying. But it's highly recommended all people in a marriage really sit down. I don't care if you've been married for 10 years or for 100 years. If it's a major purchase, talk about it. My wife and I, we had a thing. If it was over $100, even if it was in the budget, we were going to talk about it, right? If the furnace goes out, well, we're of course going to both be on board for that. But if we have fun money for the month and I decide I want to go buy some new golf clubs for $200, well, maybe we split the fund money evenly. Well, if it's a big pot, we need to talk about that. Or for instance, if you're going and you want to buy all new silverware for the kitchen, you can pull that off some budget you have, and that silverware is $150, or you're buying a whole plate set along with it, or whatever you're doing. If it's over a certain level, you should talk about that. That way you're all on board with it, and that way you don't have any fights later. My wife and I, we set a budget of $100. If it was over $100, even if it was in the budget, we would just kind of touch base with each other before we did it. Hey, I need to get new tires on the car. I went in there, I thought I just had a slow leak. It turns out something's bad with it. It's time to get new ones. It's going to cost $400 or something. Keep that in mind. Communicate, because that really helps avoid problems. It's the lack of communication, the lack of their ability to go out there and talk to each other that really gets people in trouble, because one person's off doing something, the other person doesn't know about it, they find out later, suddenly we have a huge amount of debt maybe, or other issues that really puts a strain on your marriage and can ultimately destroy it. So keep that in mind. Number 3, lying about money. Yes. A lot of people do this. They may have had a setback at work, may not have gotten that bonus that they thought. Maybe they just want to spend some money and they don't want to tell you. A lot of marriages fall apart because one spouse is actively withholding information or outright lying. This is very common, especially when somebody's job doesn't quite pan out, right? I mean, I worked sales a large part of my life. We've all been there, right? You got this commission. It's set. It's gold. It's the day for the client to sign the contract to buy this whole new system or buy a new piece of property or whatever it may be. They call you, hey, having second thoughts, or a competitor just came in and we need to renegotiate the contract because they're offering me better terms somewhere. That happens a lot. And it's not just there. I mean, let's be honest. With the pandemic last year, a lot of us found, say, hey, that overtime I was counting on, it's not happening. Or we're on unemployment now, folks. But it's surprising how many people will actually, maybe it's pride, maybe they're just disappointing themselves, I don't know. They'll lie. They say, hey, oh yeah, I got that bonus. Well, you really didn't. Now the other spouse is spending money with the expectations there when it's really not. Or they just straight lie, say, hey, I'm making $56,000 a year, when they only make $46,000 a year or something. That happens a lot. And that comes down to be most successful when one partner or the other has complete control of the bank. And I highly recommend you don't do that. Don't have separate bank accounts. Have joint bank accounts. You both can see, you both know what's happening. Can't tell you how many times people will lie for years and end up with massive amounts of debt. And now the other spouse finds out, hey, I'm on the liable for $100,000 in student loans that he's not paying because we're married. Or maybe he bought a car that he said he paid for cash off a bonus, but he really financed it. And now we have monthly payments I didn't know about, and he's not making them, and all kind of things happen. Yes, guys, I'm picking on you. We do it. Let's just be honest. Women do it too, but guys, I'm picking on you today. Hang on there with me. Don't worry. But it happens. Lying about money is a huge reason listed on divorce paperwork. So keep that in mind. If you really want to be successful in marriage, communicate, be honest, and have a plan together. And that's really good advice for a lot of areas, not just in money. So keep that in mind. But real quick, have a budget, folks. It's really easy. You can download a lot of budgets online for free now. The Dave Ramsey plan, I've seen their books are under $10 for the whole plan that helps you create a budget and everything. I would say that's probably the best. I love their debt payoff system. I used it. And I really like their budget. But use whatever works for you. My wife is a very much a spreadsheet and Excel kind of person. I'm more of a shove it in envelopes and I can physically see it kind of person. So do what's right for you. Make sure you agree on major purchases. Don't do a major purchase without communicating to your spouse. You're asking for trouble. And don't lie about money. Because now they're going to second guess you on everything you do in your life. Because if you're lying about money, what else are you going to be lying about? Keep that in mind. Now, a quick bonus tip. If you're a newly married couple, one of the other reasons a divorce happens is fighting over the bedding when you sleep. Let's be honest, we all do it. Here's a tip I found. Get a queen size bed or a king. Buy the next size up sheets. For instance, if you got a king bed, get California king size sheets or whatever. If you got a queen bed, we get king size sheets and bedding. That means there's so much more bedding and you don't fight over it like you would if it was a queen bed with queen sheets. Tip of the day, you'll thank me later. Just costs a little bit more money. You'd be amazed. It really isn't that huge of a jump to go from queen sheets to king sheets. But man, does it make life a lot easier. So keep that in mind. All right, there's my video of the day. A little different. Let me know what you think of it. I'd love to hear from you. But if you're new here, do me a big favor. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. I'll talk to you all real soon. Take care, everybody.